Hey, welcome back to QC Morning. And look, if you've ever had kids, you know that no matter what age they are, it is expensive. And the cost of raising a child is only going up. In North Carolina, the total bill of raising one child, just one, is more than $21,500 a year. That's up nearly 4% from 2023. From birth until 18 years of age, parents, you can expect to pay more than $237,000. Again, that's just for one child. And that's not even including college. Mark Henry with Alloy Wealth Management is here this morning with more on why those costs, that is, continue to go up. Mark, thanks for being here. And look, we were talking during the break. My wife and I have this conversation all the time because I have a 4-year-old, I have a 2-year-old. As parents, we want to give the best to our kids. We want the sky is the limit for them. But there are financial restraints no matter where you're sitting in that spectrum, because you have to be able to plan, and you can't get to a point where you're dipping into something that may be an issue for yourself down the line. How do parents combat this? And I know that's a loaded question, but combat this crisis that we're having right now.
Right, and it is a crisis. The costs are just extremely high. But we always have to lean back on the fact that, as I know you'll agree, there's nothing better than raising children. It's the greatest thing I've ever done with 3 children.
Yeah.
So we don't want this to be discouraging to people that are thinking about having kids and children. But the reality is, it's tough. It's hard out there right now. So we have to come up with a spending plan. And I love this 50, 30, 20 kind of rule. So
sure.
you take your take-home pay, and 50% of it needs to cover necessities. So half your pay, necessities would be food and water, that's kind of important, shelter. I think that's pretty important. Housing, yeah,
Yep.
I think those things are important.
Yeah.
30% can be your wants and fun stuff, you know, the things that we want. We want to have a little better, we want to have a little this. And then 20% has to go to long-term savings for retirement. And this is where parents are really faced with that very hard decision, because they're finding it hard to make all that work, because they're sacrificing sometimes their own retirement.
Sure.
So the children can have a little better, a little more, a little of this, a little of that. And we just can't let that happen, because what that leads to is being a burden to our children one day.
Look, you're absolutely right. It's a difficult decision to make, because, again, as a parent, you want to give your kids as much as we can. But we talked about housing, right? And we talked about how important that was. Look at food costs.
It's unbelievable.
That's a second piece of the conversation that we have to jump into. Tell me a little bit about how people can plan better around that when you look at housing, when you look at food costs, and when you look at childcare.
Right. So this is where the spending plan comes in. And the reality is, I've done it personally in my own home, where we would have these competitions as the children were getting older, and I mean from 4 to maybe 9, 10. This works really well, where you plan a meal, and it's your night tonight. And you have this budget, and you give a $35, a $40 budget for the meal, $30. And they have to feed the entire family, and it's their responsibility to figure it out on their night. Now, the younger kids have to have help from their parents.
Sure.
But when it's mom's night, she figures out what can we have tonight to make this stay within budget, and then you rank them on who did the best job.
Right.
And we'd make a competition out of it.
I'm going to take that tip. That sounds like a fun game.
It works, and you would be surprised. I remember one time when my oldest son, Hunter, had wrestling practice, this and that, and he said, "Dad, I just can't do it tonight." It's not an option. It's your night, and we have to eat. Figure it out. And he was able to do it, because this is the lessons we have to teach them, because they're going to have to go experience this. But you can get it down, but it all comes from the word we hate, which is budgeting, which is why I've changed it to spending plan.
Yeah.
Put together a plan and then stick to it.
We talked to housing. We talked food spending, spending plan, childcare. I mean, I have a 4 and 2-year-old. My wife works.
Right.
I work. We have to try and find a solution for that. What is the solution, if there even is one, or how can you at least ease childcare today?
Well, one of the things I tell people all the time about childcare, first, this is not a place where you cut expenses.
Correct.
You want proper childcare. However, that does not always mean the traditional daycares. My daughter took a year break from graduating App, summa cum laude, before she became a teacher. She took a 1-year gap year, and she became a nanny for a family. And let me tell you, she had 3 children under her care. She did an amazing job, and that family saved so much money by using her to do the child care in their home versus what it would have cost to take those 3 kids to traditional child care. Don't be afraid to look outside of the box to cut cost, which is exactly what that family did. And it helped my daughter and it helped them.
Yeah, look at that. Look, it's just being creative and creating different ways to be able to alleviate some of those restraints on housing, on food costs, and of course, child care. Mark, thank you so much for always giving us great insight. I want to put your information up on the screen so that people know where to get a hold of you. People know how to follow you on social media, how to follow you throughout all of the different advice that you give, Mark. I really do appreciate it. And again, it's something that we all have to focus on.